I saved 2M for my children's gift, but they ditched me for their new mom on my birthday. My name is Joyce, 58 years old, and I built my fortune from nothing but grit and determination. After 20 years of marriage, my husband left me for his younger assistant, slowly taking our children's hearts with him. For my birthday this year, I plan to surprise Aaron and Sarah with a gift of $1 million each. I never imagined they would choose to celebrate my ex-husband's anniversary with his new wife instead of my special day. Before I tell you what happened on my birthday, let me know where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button. You'll want to stick around for what I did next. I grew up in a modest neighborhood in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where my father worked at the steel mill and my mother taught at the local elementary school. We never had much, but my parents instilled in me the value of hard work and education. They scrimped and saved to send me to college, where I met Thomas during my sophomore year. Thomas was charming, ambitious, and studying business like me. We connected instantly over late-night study sessions and dreams of building something meaningful together. After graduation, we married in a simple ceremony with our families and closest friends. We moved into a tiny apartment and promised to build our empire together. Within 2 years, we welcomed our son Aaron into the world. He had Thomas's blue eyes and my stubborn determination from the moment he was born. 2 years later, our daughter Sarah arrived, completing our family with her infectious laugh and curious mind. While Thomas secured a position at a respected financial firm, I juggled motherhood with my growing ambition. When Aaron started kindergarten, I launched a small marketing consulting business from our dining room table. Those early days were exhausting, but exhilarating. I'd work during school hours, be a mother in the afternoon, then return to proposals and client work after the children went to bed. My business grew steadily as I developed a reputation for innovative strategies and exceptional results. By the time Sarah started school, I had 3 employees and had converted our garage into a proper office. Thomas seemed supportive, proudly introducing me as his entrepreneur wife at company functions. As the years passed, my small consultancy expanded into a full-service marketing agency. I hired more staff, moved into commercial office space, and started landing contracts with nationally recognized brands. The income allowed us to move from our starter home into a beautiful house in an exclusive neighborhood with a swimming pool that Aaron and Sarah adored. But success came with sacrifices. I missed school plays and soccer games. I took business calls during family dinners. I traveled for client meetings and industry conferences. I told myself it was all for our family's future, that my children would understand someday. Thomas's attitude began to shift as my company outgrew his career. His proud introductions became tinged with resentment. He made cutting remarks about my obsession with work, though he never complained about the lifestyle my income provided. The distance between us grew, but I was too busy building my business empire to address the cracks in our marriage. When my agency won a prestigious industry award, Thomas didn't attend the ceremony, claiming a work commitment. I later discovered he had been at a bar with his assistant Melanie, a stylish woman, 15 years my junior, whom he had hired the previous year. The signs were there: late nights at the office, new clothes, a renewed interest in his appearance, guarded phone conversations. But I ignored them, buried in contracts and expansion plans. The truth was revealed at our company holiday party, when I overheard Melanie in the bathroom giggling with another woman about her affair with the boss's husband. I confronted Thomas that night after we returned home. Instead of denial or apology, he told me he wanted a divorce. 20 years of marriage dismissed in a single conversation. He claimed I had emotionally abandoned the family years ago, that Melanie understood him in ways I never had, that he deserved happiness. The divorce was ugly. Thomas fought for half my business, though he had contributed nothing to its growth. His attorneys painted me as a cold, absent mother who prioritized profit over parenting. Though the business remained mine, the character assassination took its toll. Aaron was 20 and Sarah 18 when we finalized the divorce. Both initially lived with me while attending local colleges, but Thomas and Melanie's new home, purchased with his generous settlement, became increasingly attractive to them. Game nights, pool parties, home-cooked meals by Melanie, who didn't have the distraction of running a company. Gradually, they spent more weekends there, then moved in completely during summer breaks. I watched helplessly as Thomas and Melanie became the fun, present parents I was too busy to be. The crueler truth was that now, as I finally had time to devote to my family, they had already slipped away. The year following my divorce was the darkest of my life. I would come home to an empty house that once echoed with my children's laughter and my husband's voice. The silence was deafening. Some nights, I would sit in Aaron or Sarah's empty bedroom, holding their childhood stuffed animals, wondering where I had gone wrong. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Larson, who helped me navigate the grief. "You're experiencing multiple losses," she explained during one session. "Your marriage, your daily role as a mother, and your identity as part of a traditional family unit, Dr. Larson guided me through the stages of grief. The anger phase was particularly intense. I was furious with Thomas for his betrayal with Melanie, for her youth and availability, and with myself for not seeing it coming. But mostly, I felt an overwhelming sadness watching my relationship with my children transform. Unable to bear the emptiness at home, I threw myself deeper into work. If my family life was a failure, at least my business could continue to thrive. I expanded into new markets, acquired 2 smaller agencies, and doubled our client roster within 18 months. Financial publications wrote articles about my company's remarkable growth, despite its founders' personal challenges. Aaron graduated with his business degree, and to my disappointment, accepted a job offer in San Diego, the same city where Thomas and Melanie had relocated. 6 months later, Sarah transferred from her local college to a university in San Diego to complete her education. They framed it as career opportunities and educational advantages. But I knew the truth. They wanted to be closer to their father and his new wife. I tried desperately to maintain connections with my children. I scheduled monthly flights to San Diego, booked fine restaurants, and purchased theater tickets in hopes of quality time together. I sent thoughtful gifts for holidays and achievements. I called regularly, though our conversations grew increasingly brief and superficial. "Sorry, Mom, I can't meet this weekend. Melanie is hosting a barbecue for Dad's colleagues. Can we reschedule our dinner? Sarah and I are helping Dad and Melanie move into their new beach house." The cancellations became so frequent that I started booking refundable flights and making tentative restaurant reservations, expecting disappointment. One evening, while scrolling through social media, I saw photos from a surprise birthday party for Thomas. Aaron and Sarah beamed beside their father, and Melanie surrounded by decorations they had clearly helped arrange. No one had mentioned the event to me. In another post, I discovered they had taken a family vacation to Europe, Thomas, Melanie, and my children, exploring Rome and Paris, creating memories without me. The photos showed them laughing, arms around each other, looking more like a natural family than we ever had in our later years. Melanie was everything. I wasn't young, relaxed, present. She didn't run a company. Her full-time job was making my ex-husband and my children feel valued and prioritized. She prepared elaborate meals, organized fun outings, remembered every preference and interest. She positioned herself as the mother I had failed to be during my years building a business. After one particularly painful video call, where Aaron and Sarah shared stories about a holiday weekend at Mom and Dad's house, referring to Thomas and Melanie's home, I broke down. They had stopped calling Melanie by her name, and she had become Mom, while I was relegated to Joyce, or sometimes still Mom, but with a different, distanced tone. That night, staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror, I made a decision. Money couldn't buy love, but perhaps it could buy an opportunity to reconnect. I had amassed significant wealth. My company was now valued at over $20 million, and I had substantial personal investments. What if I gave each of my children a gift that would secure their futures and demonstrate my love in the most tangible way possible? I contacted my financial advisor, Patricia, the next morning. I want to set aside $1 million for each of my children, I explained. That's a substantial gift, Joyce, she replied cautiously. May I ask what prompted this decision? I couldn't admit the truth, that I was trying to compete with Melanie, that I hoped financial security might rekindle my children's appreciation. They're adults now, starting their lives. I want to give them the freedom to pursue their dreams without limitations. Over the following weeks, Patricia helped me establish the accounts and prepare the necessary documentation. As my birthday approached, I decided that would be the perfect occasion for the surprise. Surely they wouldn't decline to celebrate their mother's birthday, and the gift would transform our relationship. I imagined their faces when I presented them with the checks, the tears of gratitude, the renewed closeness that would follow. For the first time in months, I felt hopeful about my family's future. I envisioned holiday gatherings at my home again, regular phone calls, and being included in important moments. The money would remind them of how hard I had worked all those years, not because I didn't love them, but because I loved them enough to secure their future. 3 months before my 58th birthday, I began planning the perfect celebration. This wouldn't be just any birthday. It would be the day I reclaimed my relationship with my children through an extraordinary gesture of love and generosity. I researched venues in San Diego and selected an elegant waterfront restaurant with a private dining room overlooking the harbor. I placed a deposit for 20 people, though in reality, I only cared about 2 guests, Aaron and Sarah. The others would be a few business associates and friends who lived in the area primarily to ensure the event didn't feel awkwardly intimate and to witness the momentous gift-giving. I made dinner reservations at La Maison, a French restaurant with 3 Michelin stars, where we would go after the party for a more personal celebration. The restaurant required a booking 3 months in advance and a substantial deposit, but nothing was too extravagant for this occasion. Next came my personal preparation. I scheduled appointments with a personal stylist hair salon and makeup artist in San Diego for the day before my birthday. I purchased a new outfit, a sophisticated navy blue dress from a designer boutique paired with pearl jewelry that had belonged to my grandmother. I wanted to look my absolute best when I changed my children's lives. For the presentation itself, I commissioned an artist to create 2 oversized ceremonial checks, each for $1 million, with Aaron and Sarah's names beautifully calligraphed. I also prepared actual financial documents transferring the funds tucked into elegant leather portfolios with their initials embossed in gold. I hired a professional photographer to capture the moment they received their gifts. I want to document their expressions. I explained to the photographer, "This is going to be a turning point in our family story." As the weeks passed, my excitement grew. I practiced what I would say when I presented the checks. I imagined their reactions: shock, disbelief, gratitude, and ultimately, a renewed appreciation for their mother, who had worked tirelessly to provide such abundance. During a therapy session with Dr. Larson, I enthusiastically shared my plans. Her response was not what I expected. "Joyce, have you considered what message this gesture might send, or how Aaron and Sarah might interpret your intentions?" "What do you mean?" I asked, defensive. "I'm giving them financial security and freedom. What parent wouldn't want to do that for their children if they could? Money can be complicated, especially in relationships that are already strained." Dr. Larson replied gently. "Sometimes large gifts can create obligation rather than closeness. Have you thought about starting with smaller steps to rebuild your relationship?" I dismissed her concerns. "You don't understand. This isn't about buying their love. It's about giving them the fruits of my labor, the reason I worked so hard all those years." Dr. Larson nodded, but didn't press further. "Just be prepared that their reaction might not match your expectations. Relationships are rebuilt through consistent presence and emotional connection, not typically through single, grand gestures." I left the session irritated. Dr. Larson clearly didn't understand the power of this gift. This wasn't a bribe. It was my legacy. It would speak louder than words about my devotion as a mother. 2 months before my birthday, I called Aaron and Sarah to ensure they would be available. "I'm planning something special for my birthday this year," I told Aaron. "I'd love for you and Sarah to keep the day free. I'm coming to San Diego, and I have something important I want to share with both of you." "Your birthday, when is it again?" he asked, and the question stung. Had he forgotten his own mother's birthday, April 15th? I reminded him. "Oh, right. Let me check my calendar." The long pause was punctuated by the sound of him scrolling through his phone. "I think I'm free, but let me confirm closer to the date. Things have been crazy at work." My call with Sarah yielded similar vagueness. "I should be able to make it, Mom, but you know how unpredictable my schedule can be with grad school." Neither seemed particularly enthusiastic, but I attributed their lukewarm responses to not knowing about the surprise that awaited them. Once they understood why this birthday was special, they would appreciate my insistence. As my birthday approached, I reconfirmed with both of them. Aaron promised to be there, but mentioned he might be a little late due to a work meeting. Sarah said she was pretty sure she could make it, but had a group project deadline the same week. Their hesitation should have been a warning sign, but I was too caught up in my vision of reconciliation to notice. In my mind, this birthday would heal all wounds and restore our family bond. The day before my birthday, I flew to San Diego, my heart fluttering with anticipation. I checked into a luxury hotel downtown where the staff had prepared a welcome basket with champagne and chocolates after learning about my birthday. That evening, I confirmed the restaurant reservations, checked in with the photographer, and laid out my new dress. I took a long bath, performed my skincare routine with extra attention, and fell asleep, imagining tomorrow's joyful reunion. My birthday morning arrived with perfect San Diego sunshine streaming through my hotel window. I ordered room service breakfast, fresh fruit, yogurt, and coffee, and checked my phone. No birthday messages yet from Aaron or Sarah, but it was early. They would probably call later Or perhaps they were saving their wishes for our in-person celebration. I spent the morning at the salon, where skilled hands transformed my hair and applied subtle, flattering makeup. Looking in the mirror afterward, I hardly recognized the confident, radiant woman staring back at me. This was exactly how a mother should look when changing her children's lives forever. Back at the hotel, I slipped into my new dress, fastened my grandmother's pearls around my neck, and surveyed the final effect. Perfect. I carefully placed the leather portfolios containing the financial documents into an elegant tote bag, alongside the ceremonial checks, which I had rolled and tied with satin ribbons. As noon approached and my phone remained silent, a flicker of worry crossed my mind. Surely my own children wouldn't forget my birthday entirely. I sent a casual text to both, looking forward to seeing you at La Terrace at 1 p.m. Aaron replied immediately. On my way soon. Sarah didn't respond. Reassured by Aaron's message, I left for the restaurant, excitement eclipsing my concern. I arrived at La Terrace 20 minutes early, checking the private dining room to ensure everything was perfect. The table settings gleamed in the sunlight, streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The harbor view was spectacular sailboats gliding across blue water beneath a cloudless sky. Fresh flower arrangements perfumed the air, and a small table at the side held wrapped gifts from the business associates and friends I had invited. The restaurant manager approached with a bottle of champagne. Would you like us to open this now, Mrs. Williams, or wait for your guests to arrive? Let's wait, I replied. My children should be here any minute. I took my seat at the head of the table, the leather portfolios and ceremonial checks positioned discreetly beneath my chair. The photographer arrived, testing lighting angles and discussing how to best capture the moment without being intrusive. One by one, my business associates and local friends arrived, offering birthday wishes and placing gifts on the designated table. They made polite conversation, but I could tell they sensed my distraction as I continually glanced toward the entrance and checked my phone. 1 o'clock came and went, then 1:15, then 1:30. Should we open the champagne? Suggested Jessica, a colleague from my San Diego office. Let's give them a few more minutes, I said, forcing a smile. My son mentioned he might be running late from a work meeting. By 1:45, I had called both Aaron and Sarah 3 times with no answer. I sent multiple text messages that showed as delivered, but remained unread. The knot in my stomach tightened with each passing minute. The other guests exchanged uncomfortable glances. The waitstaff hovered uncertainly near the kitchen door. Perhaps we should order some appetizers, suggested Richard, my regional director, clearly trying to salvage the increasingly awkward situation. I nodded mechanically, and the staff began serving platters of elegant hors d'oeuvres that I couldn't bring myself to touch. The conversation around me continued, but it sounded distant and muffled, as if I were underwater. At 2:15, as the dessert plates were being cleared away, after a lunch I barely tasted, my phone finally chimed with a text message. I grabbed it so quickly, I nearly knocked over my untouched water glass. The message was from Sarah. Sorry, Mom can't make it today. It's Dad and Melanie's anniversary, and they're having a big celebration. We're helping set up. Maybe we can meet tomorrow for coffee. I stared at the screen, reading the message over and over, unable to process that my children had chosen their father's anniversary with the woman he left me for over their own mother's birthday. Not just any birthday, the one where I planned to give them each $1 million. With trembling fingers, I opened Instagram. Sarah had already posted photos of elaborate anniversary decorations in Thomas and Melanie's backyard. There was Aaron hanging string lights across the patio. There was Sarah arranging flowers on a table set for at least 20 guests. Both were smiling widely, clearly happy to be part of the celebration. Another photo showed Thomas with his arm around Melanie, the caption reading, "Happy 10th anniversary. To the best parents, we love you both so much." The best parents. The words burned into my brain like acid. 10 years. They were celebrating the decade that had begun with the destruction of my family. I didn't realize I was crying until Jessica placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. "Joyce, are you okay?" The concern in her voice broke the dam. 10 years of hurt rejection and loneliness came flooding out in racking sobs that I couldn't control. The other guests froze in embarrassed silence. The photographer discreetly packed up his equipment. The waitstaff vanished into the kitchen. "My children," I managed between sobs. "They're not coming. They're celebrating my ex-husband's anniversary with his new wife." Jessica helped me to my feet. "Let's get you back to your hotel," she murmured, signaling to Richard, who quickly settled the bill while she guided me out through a side entrance to avoid the main dining room. The drive back to the hotel passed in a blur. Jessica offered to stay, but I insisted on being alone. Once inside my room, I collapsed onto the bed, still wearing my carefully chosen dress, my grandmother's pearls digging into my neck. I scrolled through more social media posts from the anniversary celebration. Each new image was another dagger. Thomas carving a cake with Melanie, Aaron making a toast, Sarah hugging Melanie with the caption, "Love you, Mom," the mom that should have been mine. In that moment, a different emotion began to displace my sorrow. Anger. White, hot, clarifying anger. I had worked myself to exhaustion, building a business that provided the lifestyle they had enjoyed growing up. I had funded college educations and first apartments. I had flown monthly to San Diego, trying to maintain a relationship with children who couldn't even remember my birthday. And now, I had been ready to give them $2 million money they clearly didn't deserve. I kicked off my heels and paced the hotel room, fury building with each step. My first impulse was to call them to scream and rage about their betrayal, to tell them about the gift they had just forfeited with their callousness. But as the initial surge of anger receded, a deeper, colder resolution took its place. They had made their choice. They had chosen Thomas and Melanie as their parents. Perhaps it was time I accepted that reality and made some choices of my own. I spent that night alone in my hotel room, alternating between tears and anger, between memories of Aaron and Sarah as loving children and the harsh reality of who they had become. Somewhere around 3 a.m, exhausted by emotion, I finally fell into a fitful sleep, the ceremonial checks and financial documents still untouched in their elegant bag. Morning light filtered through the hotel curtains I had forgotten to close. My head pounded from crying, and my throat felt raw. For a moment, I couldn't remember why I felt so terrible. Then, the events of my birthday came rushing back. The empty celebration, the anniversary photos, the complete disregard from my own children. I reached for my phone. 6 missed calls from Jessica and other guests concerned about my well-being. Nothing from Aaron or Sarah. Nothing. Slowly, I sat up on the edge of the bed. My expensive dress was hopelessly wrinkled. My carefully styled hair was a tangled mess. But something had changed inside me during that long, painful night. A strange calm had replaced the storm of emotions. My children had made their choice years ago. They had chosen comfort over loyalty, the easy path of a ready-made happy family with Thomas and Melanie over the more complex relationship with their workaholic mother. Yesterday had simply been the final confirmation of a reality I had been denying. I couldn't buy back their love with money, and truthfully, I no longer wanted to try. I called Dr. Larson, not caring about the early hour. "You were right," I said when she answered. The grand gesture was a mistake. "What happened?" she asked, her voice gentle but not surprised. I recounted the previous day's humiliation in detail, the no-show, the anniversary celebration, the social media posts. "I'm sorry you experienced such a painful rejection," she said when I finished. "What are you feeling this morning?" "Clarity," I replied after a moment's reflection. "I've been chasing their approval and love for years, and it's gotten me nowhere. I think I need to stop trying so hard and focus on building a life that fulfills me with or without them." Dr. Larson's approval was evident in her voice. "That sounds like a healthy perspective, Joyce. What does that look like for you?" "I don't know yet, but I know what I'm not going to do. I'm not meeting them for coffee today, as Sarah suggested. I'm not giving them the money I set aside. And I'm not going to keep making myself available for rejection." After ending the call, I texted Sarah, "Can't make coffee today. Heading home early." Simple, dignified. No emotional accusations or explanations. I showered, packed my bags, and called Patricia, my financial advisor, who was surprised to hear from me on Saturday morning. "The gift for my children is off," I told her. "I need to discuss alternative plans for those funds." "I see," she said cautiously. "Would you like to reinvest them in your portfolio for now, until you decide?" "Actually, I'm thinking about something completely different. Can we meet next week to discuss establishing a foundation?" The idea had come to me during my sleepless night. If my children didn't appreciate my hard work and sacrifice, perhaps I could direct my resources toward people who would. Patricia sounded intrigued. "Of course. Any particular focus for this foundation?" "I'm not certain yet. Let me think about it and get back to you." I decided to extend my stay in San Diego for 3 more days. Not to see Aaron and Sarah, but to give myself space to think away from the pressures and reminders of my home and business. After checking out of my hotel, I walked along the harbor, finding a quiet bench overlooking the water. The fresh air cleared my head. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to imagine a future not centered around reconciling with my children or seeking their approval. What did I want for myself? What would bring me fulfillment? As I pondered these questions, an elderly woman approached my bench, her clothes worn but clean, pushing a small cart containing what appeared to be all her possessions. "Mind if I rest here a minute?" she asked, nodding toward the empty space beside me. "Please," I gestured, moving my purse to make room. The woman introduced herself as Margaret and explained she was making her daily trek from the women's shelter to the public library, where she used the computers to search for affordable housing and jobs. "Been homeless 3 years now," she said matter-of-factly. "Lost everything after my husband died, and his medical bills cleaned us out. Worked as a nurse for 30 years, but no one wants to hire a 70-year-old. Something in her dignified determination resonated with me. I found myself sharing my own story, the divorce, the estrangement from my children, even the birthday debacle, though I omitted the financial details. "Sounds like you gave everything to a family that didn't appreciate the sacrifice," Margaret observed. "Reminds me of some women at the shelter. Single mothers working 3 jobs to feed their kids, then those same kids blame them for never being around. You live at a shelter? I asked, realizing how little I knew about such places. Margaret nodded. Harmony House. It's for women only, which makes it safer than the mixed shelters. They do good work with limited resources. They've got a program helping women start small businesses, but it's always short on funding. My interest piqued. I asked more questions about the program. Margaret explained how it provided business skills training, small startup loans, and mentorship to help women achieve financial independence. Would they let me visit, do you think? I asked. Margaret looked surprised, but pleased. I could introduce you to the director. She's always looking for donors and volunteers with business experience. That afternoon, I accompanied Margaret back to Harmony House, a converted school building in a working-class neighborhood. The director, Elena Rodriguez, welcomed me warmly and gave me a tour of the facility. I was struck by both the needs and the potential I saw. Women of all ages and backgrounds, many with stories similar to what Margaret had described, hardworking, determined, but derailed by circumstances beyond their control. Some had fled abusive relationships. Others had lost jobs due to company closures or health issues. Many were single mothers trying to create stability for their children. In the computer lab, I met Luann, a young mother of 2, who was developing a business plan for a mobile beauty salon serving homebound seniors. Her concept was innovative, her passion evident, but she lacked the capital and business expertise to launch successfully. The program has helped me refine my idea and create a basic plan, Luann explained. But the startup funding is limited to $5,000, which isn't enough for the specialized equipment I need. As I listened to Luann and met other women with equally viable business concepts, an idea crystallized in my mind. The $2 million I had planned to give my children could create opportunities for dozens of women like these women who would value the chance to build something meaningful, who understood sacrifice and hard work. Before leaving Harmony House, I exchanged contact information with Elena and promised to return. For the first time since my birthday disaster, I felt a sense of purpose and even excitement. That evening, in my new hotel room, I began drafting plans for what would become the Second Chance Foundation, specifically designed to help women entrepreneurs rebuild their lives through business ownership. The vision energized me in a way I hadn't felt in years. Instead of meeting Aaron and Sarah for the coffee they had so casually suggested, I spent the next 2 days working on foundation concepts and visiting other women's organizations in San Diego to understand the landscape of needs and existing resources. By the time I flew home, I had a clear direction for the money that had almost become a futile attempt to buy back my children's affection. A week after returning home, I received a text from Aaron. "Haven't heard from you since your birthday. Is everything okay?" The message struck me as both ironic and insulting. They had completely abandoned me on my birthday in favor of celebrating the anniversary of their father's second marriage, and now he was checking if I was okay. I waited a full day before responding something I had never done before. "We should talk in person. I'll be in San Diego for foundation work next month. We'll let you know the dates." His reply came quickly. "Foundation? What foundation?" I didn't elaborate. Let him wonder for a change. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into creating the Second Chance Foundation. I worked with Patricia to structure the financials, consulted with nonprofit attorneys to establish proper governance, and began building a board of directors that included successful businesswomen and experts in women's economic empowerment. The foundation would provide 3 levels of support: micro grants of $5,000 for small startup businesses, major grants of up to $50,000 for more established businesses, ready to scale, and a comprehensive mentorship program leveraging my business network to provide expertise and guidance. I contacted Elena at Harmony House and proposed making her shelter's entrepreneurship program the pilot site for the foundation's work. Her enthusiasm confirmed I was on the right path. Sarah texted several times, each message more curious about this mysterious foundation that was suddenly occupying my time. I provided minimal information, simply stating I was starting a nonprofit to help women entrepreneurs. "Since when are you interested in nonprofit work?" she asked. I could almost hear the skepticism in her text. "People change," I replied. "Priorities evolve." When I returned to San Diego the following month for meetings with potential foundation partners, I finally agreed to meet Aaron and Sarah for lunch. I chose a casual cafe near my hotel, deliberately different from the upscale venues I had previously selected for our rare get-togethers. They arrived together both, looking slightly apprehensive. Sarah kissed my cheek mechanically. Aaron offered an awkward side hug. We ordered sandwiches and made small talk about their jobs and Sarah's graduate studies. Neither mentioned my birthday. Finally, Aaron broached the subject. "So, Mom, what's this foundation you keep mentioning? Is this some new tax strategy Patricia recommended?" The condescension in his tone, assuming I couldn't have conceived such an idea myself, sparked anger, but I maintained my composure. "Actually, it's something quite meaningful to me," I replied, then explained the concept behind the Second Chance Foundation and the women it would serve. Sarah frowned slightly. "That's a lot of money to give to strangers. I thought you were focused on building your legacy for family." There it was, the entitlement I had unwittingly nurtured over years of trying to compensate for my absence with material generosity. "My legacy is more than just assets to pass down," I said carefully. "It's also about the values I demonstrate and the impact I create in the world." Aaron leaned forward, his business instincts sensing something unspoken. "Mom, how much money are you putting into this foundation?" I met his gaze steadily. $2 million initially, with the potential for more depending on its success. Their shocked expressions might have been comical under different circumstances. $2 million, the exact amount they would never know had been intended for them. "That's a substantial commitment," Aaron said, recovering first. "Have you really thought this through? There are so many established charities already doing similar work." "I've done extensive research," I assured him. "And yes, there are wonderful organizations out there, but there's still a significant gap in support for women entrepreneurs, particularly those rebuilding after personal hardships." Sarah's expression had shifted from shock to something harder. "This feels sudden. What brought this on?" For a moment, I considered telling them everything about the birthday surprise, the ceremonial checks, the photographer I had hired to capture their reactions, and how they had thrown it all away for an anniversary party. I imagined their regret and self-recrimination upon learning what they had lost. But what would that accomplish, beyond momentary satisfaction for me and mercenary regret from them? If they reconciled with me after learning about the money, would that be genuine or opportunistic? Sometimes, life gives us unexpected clarity about what matters. I said instead, "My birthday last month was such a moment." Sarah at least had the grace to look uncomfortable at the mention of my birthday. "About that, we really are sorry we couldn't make it. Dad and Melanie's anniversary was planned months in advance, and they were expecting us to help." "It was their 10th anniversary," Aaron added, as if that explained everything. "Yes, I saw the photos," I said neutrally. It looked like a lovely celebration. A flicker of guilt crossed Sarah's face. She must have realized I had seen her Instagram posts, the best parents caption, the pictures of her hugging Melanie with the word mom attached. We should have called, Erin admitted. It was your birthday after all. Yes, you should have. I agreed, then changed the subject. I'm heading to Harmony House after our lunch to meet with some of the women who will be receiving the foundation's first grants. Harmony House, Sarah repeated. Isn't that a homeless shelter? Mom, are you sure about this? Those environments can be dangerous. Her concern might have touched me once. Now it just highlighted how little she knew me or understood my capabilities. I've visited several times now. It's perfectly safe, and the women there have incredible potential with the right support. The conversation shifted to safer topics, but there was a new tension underlying our interaction. I wasn't playing by the established rules anymore. I wasn't the predictable mother desperately seeking their attention and approval. As lunch concluded, Erin asked hesitantly, "Will you be coming back for my birthday next month?" The question revealed so much. He expected me to continue making all the effort, flying across the country, working around their schedules, even after they had completely disregarded my birthday. The old me would have immediately agreed, grateful for any opportunity to see them. I'm not sure, I replied honestly. The foundation launch will be keeping me quite busy. Let's touch base closer to the date. Their surprise at my noncommittal answer was evident. Sarah looked almost offended, as if I had violated an unspoken contract where my devotion was guaranteed, regardless of their behavior. As we said goodbye outside the cafe, I hugged them both, brief, polite embraces, without the desperate quality that had characterized my affection in recent years. I felt a strange mixture of sadness and liberation, walking away, knowing that our relationship was fundamentally changing, but also recognizing it was long overdue. That afternoon at Harmony House, I met with Luann and 2 other women who would receive the foundation's first grants. Their gratitude and determination provided a stark contrast to the entitled expectations I had just experienced with my own children. These women valued the opportunity not because they expected it, but because they recognized how it could transform their futures through their own efforts. On the flight home, I reflected on the irony in losing my children's affection. I had found a purpose that might ultimately create a more meaningful legacy than I could have imagined. 6 months later, on a crisp autumn morning, I stood at a podium in a converted warehouse space that now served as the Second Chance Foundation's San Diego headquarters. Before me sat 30 women of various ages and backgrounds, all participants in our entrepreneurship program. Behind them, an audience of community partners, donors, and media representatives had gathered for our first grant award ceremony. 6 months ago, I found myself at a crossroads. I began my speech. A painful personal experience forced me to reevaluate what truly matters and how I wanted to direct my resources. That moment of clarity led to what you see today, a foundation dedicated to giving women the tools, capital, and support to rebuild their lives through entrepreneurship. From the corner of my eye, I noticed a movement at the back of the room. Erin had slipped in, trying to be inconspicuous. I hadn't expected him to attend, though I had sent formal invitations to both my children weeks ago. Today, we celebrate our first cohort of grant recipients, I continued. 10 remarkable women who have developed business plans that demonstrate innovation, market viability, and potential for sustainable growth. Each will receive funding tailored to their business needs, along with ongoing mentorship from experienced entrepreneurs in their fields. One by one, I called the recipients to the stage. Luann, whose mobile beauty service for homebound seniors was already serving 20 clients. Tanya, whose eco-friendly cleaning company employed 4 other women from Harmony House. Maria, whose bilingual tutoring program was helping immigrant children succeed academically while creating flexible employment for bilingual women. Each woman's story reflected resilience in the face of adversity. Exactly what I had needed in my own life after the birthday that had changed everything. After the ceremony, as I mingled with guests and grant recipients, Aaron approached. He looked different somehow, less polished, more thoughtful. "That was impressive, Mom," he said quietly. I had no idea the foundation was so substantial. "Thank you for coming," I replied, genuinely pleased by his presence. "I didn't expect to see you here." Aaron shifted uncomfortably. "I've been following the foundation's progress online. Sarah has too, though she wouldn't admit it." I raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. "We saw the article in the Business Journal last month," he continued, "about how you're revolutionizing support for women entrepreneurs. And then the feature on Channel 8 about Luann's business. The women deserve the recognition," I said. "They're doing the hard work." Aaron glanced around at the vibrant space, the professional signage, the engaged participants. "But this is your vision. You built this just like you built your company." He hesitated. "Dad saw the TV segment too. He seemed surprised." I couldn't help but smile at that. Thomas had always underestimated me, even during our marriage. "Mom, I need to tell you something," Aaron said, his voice becoming serious. "After you left that lunch 6 months ago, Sarah and I talked about your birthday, about how we hadn't even called you that day." "You didn't," I confirmed, maintaining my composure. "Dad and Melanie had told us you were fine, with us helping with their anniversary instead, that you understood family priorities." He looked down. "We believe them because it was easier than questioning why you always seem to come second in their narratives." The revelation didn't surprise me. Thomas and Melanie had been subtly undermining me for years, positioning themselves as the real family unit, while casting me as the distracted, work-obsessed outsider. "And now?" I asked. "Now I'm wondering what else we accepted, without question. What other stories we believed, because they were convenient." Aaron met my gaze directly. "Sarah found the receipt for La Terrasse in your name when she was helping Dad with some paperwork. A deposit for 20 people on your birthday. We realized you must have been planning something significant, not just a casual lunch." I considered how to respond. Part of me wanted to reveal the full extent of what they had missed, the $2 million, the ceremonial checks, the photographer. But that felt petty now, like wielding information as a weapon. "I had hoped to celebrate with you both," I said simply. "It was disappointing when that didn't happen." Aaron nodded, accepting the understatement for the grace it was. "Sarah and I were thinking, if you're not busy, maybe we could have Christmas at your house this year, just the 3 of us." The invitation surprised me. For years, I had been the one suggesting visits, planning gatherings, making all the effort to maintain our relationship. This reversal represented a subtle but significant shift. "I'd like that," I replied. "But I should warn you, I'll be inviting Luann and her children, too, and possibly Elena from Harmony House. They've become important people in my life." Aaron smiled, a genuine expression that reminded me of his childhood self. "I'd like to meet them. They clearly mean a lot to you." As Aaron left, promising to talk to Sarah about Christmas plans, I felt a cautious optimism. Not the desperate hope that had fueled my birthday gift plan, but something more measured and realistic. Whatever relationship we rebuilt would be different, more balanced, less dependent, and hopefully more authentic. The foundation had given me purpose, beyond motherhood, beyond seeking validation from children who had made other choices. It had connected me with women who valued what I could offer, not just financial resources, but experience, guidance, and understanding. 1 year after the birthday that had broken my heart, I stood in the foundation offices after hours surveying what we had accomplished. 28 businesses launched, 42 women moved from shelters into their own housing, a mentorship network spanning 3 cities. My phone chimed with a text message from Sarah. Just booked my flight for Christmas. Erin said you're inviting some foundation people too. Looking forward to meeting them. I smiled at the message, appreciating her effort, without needing it to be more than it was. We were finding a new way forward, not the fantasy reconciliation I had once imagined, but something real and sustainable. The $2 million I had nearly given away in a desperate bid for affection had instead created ripples of opportunity that would continue expanding long after I was gone. That was a legacy worth building. I closed the foundation office and stepped into the cool evening air, at peace with the journey that had brought me here. Sometimes the greatest gifts come not from what we gain, but from what we lose, and how we choose to rebuild afterward. What would you have done in my situation? Would you have told your children about the gift they missed, or kept it to yourself like I did? Comment below with your thoughts. And if you found value in my story, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more life experiences. Sometimes our greatest pain leads to our most meaningful purpose. Thank you for listening, and remember to treat each relationship in your life with the care and respect it deserves.